Yeah, this is a little bit of a duo act, so we'll see how it goes, but we're super excited to be here. We need a little bit of Luca's energy, don't we? Because it's the end of the day. But look at this room, there's so many people here. Mona, congratulations. 2 more sessions to go and we have a full room, which is amazing. So we've just heard from our previous panel that hospitality, it's all about the people. So second to last session, we're going to talk about our people, and more specifically, the Gen Z. So we're going to dive into this. As I look around the room, I mean, we have many generations in the room. I'm not going to ask you to put your hand up. It's okay. But if we think about our hotels, if we think about our homes, I mean, we have a really mixed dynamic. We heard Liz Perkins earlier talk about her children. I have children that are young, I call them young adults, 16, 18. Marie-Louise, I don't know what lingo they're talking about sometimes. I don't understand what's really, really important to them. And if anybody can tell me what clock it means, I'd really like to know. Any ideas?
Don't ask me.
What we do know is that almost 30% of the workforce is Gen Z. We know that loyalty is optional, but we know that experiences are everything. So it's probably about time that we sort of lean into what can we do to lead a bit differently, connect and collaborate. And that's exactly what Marie-Louise and I are going to look at today.
Great. So today, can you imagine we have 5 generations working simultaneously in the workplace, right? Let that sink in. That is 5 generations of people. Now, we can see this as a challenge, or we can choose to see it as an advantage. In Middle East and Africa and Hilton, for example, we have more than 40% of our team members are under the age of 34, and 12% are even under the age of 24. And these people are managed by 14% of our population. So it's a huge challenge, but it's a huge advantage as well. And it is complex to be a leader today, isn't it? The expectations at the workplace today, people want purpose, right? They want to work for an organization that claims to do more than make money for the shareholders, and you as leaders need to manage that. People want to be met individually. Everybody has their own needs, and they want us to understand those needs and somehow adapt to those needs as well. And people want to be met by human beings. They want to have authenticity. And on top of this complexity now, we are adding generational challenges as well.
We do indeed. Fascinating to hear that 14% are leading such a huge generation here. If I can ask a question in the room, who feels or senses the generational difference in your workplace? Or everyone's the same? Got a few really honest people in the room that sense these differences. You know, I work, much like probably many of you, with people in their early 20s. And they tell me that work is their hobby. I don't quite understand that, but that's okay. But also, there's many, many things that are really important to them, but not just this. It's really intuitive and almost innate. Whereas for me, I have to work a little bit harder to understand generative AI and, you know, this rapid world that is being forced upon us. But, you know, much of the Gen Zs are digital natives. They know no different. So it's really interesting to look at some of these stats because that's going to shift very soon. You know, millennials, any millennials in the room, you're the king of the castle, but I'm sorry, but the Gen Zs are coming, and they're coming really, really quickly. So this is just a fact. This is something that we really have to accept. But when you look at this graph as well, here's the really interesting thing. We talk about generational labels that are connected to age. But really, it's about mindset. So you might say to me as a Gen Xer, we're both proud Gen Xers, aren't we, Marie-Louise? I can understand, you know, how to use ChatGPT, but I have to work quite hard at it. But then you've got other generations where, as I said earlier, it's just really, really innate. So I think the key word here is we have a choice and we have an opportunity.
Yeah, Absolutely. And we are kind of obsessed with prescribing certain traits to different types of generation, and specifically when it comes to Gen Z, right, which is typically between 16 to 30 years of age. One of the things that we tell often, we say that these people, they're so entitled. Yeah? You might recognize that. But entitled, let's swap that around a little bit, and that's a good thing. How many of us are telling our kids to not settle for less, whether it's work or marriage, always stand for what you want, and be open and transparent with what you want? Maybe it's just us that are a little bit challenged when people tell us what they want and when they want it, and we don't really know exactly how to respond. So that's about entitled. This generation is lazy. Well, don't we also spend a lot of time on time management? Don't we also tell ourselves and others, let's prioritize, let's optimize, let's work smarter, not harder? So maybe that laziness can inspire us a little bit as well to do things in a different way and save time and energy as well. We also say that they're so impatient as a generation. They want everything to happen super, super fast. But from my 25 years of working experience, I would say probably 50% of the people I work with are patient and 50% are not. And this is not Gen Z. So this is a trait that several of us can recognize from the people that you have worked with throughout your life as well. And a little bit of that, bringing in impatient, is what will move our world forward, because that's where we have innovation, and that's where people are pushing us to not get stuck in details, approvals, and thoroughness. 80-20 rule. What about the phones?
I can hear some sniggling in the room. So I'm sensing there's some Gen Zers in the room going, oh, that's not me. Are you always on your phone? Well, this is a little bit of a label. Aren't we all always on our phone? But this is certainly, a topic of always on your phone. But if we really shift that narrative, can we see that as an advantage? Someone who's always on their phone, connected and can get reliable, up-to-date information. Do we rely on their digital savviness? Are they, ultra connected and can connect with people in real time? There's an opportunity to sort of look at that a little bit differently. And then also, discipline. They lack discipline. Yeah? If we choose to look at this in a different light, we could say that this is all about a flexibility superpower. If you think of a lot of the Gen Zs in your workplace, they challenge the old ways that we do things. I love that. They challenge those. They also are much more connected to outcomes than they are in process. So there's huge amounts of advantage of someone who's not, tied and can be labelled as lacking discipline. So let's go a little bit deeper, shall we, Marie-Louise? Gen Z's in the workplace. So when we talk about some of the positives, Gen Zs are more vocal about sustainability, CSR, fairness, D&I, and they expect workplaces to align with these norms. Is this true? Yeah, I hear some yeses. It's interesting because what we know when we're recruiting and we're trying to attract talent from Gen Zs, this is so important. And this is a good thing because it challenges us to be, to have much better workplaces. If I think in Accor, in my particular brand Maison, our global head of D&I is a 22-year-old who sits in Canada, and she leads the whole initiative, and she is so passionate. We know a lot of the Gen Zs that are looking to work for hospitality are not actually necessarily looking for a specific job. What they're looking for is, what do you represent? They look on your websites and they look for your sustainability footprint. They look for, what is your purpose? What do you value? So this is something that really can make our organisations better. And also, this one, for me personally, I sense this a lot in my workplace at the moment. Gen Z wants to be heard. They want leaders who ask for their input, who involve them in decision making, and who take their feedback. I love this. This holds us accountable. This is also a beautiful way of challenging the status quo, and it's also a great way to make sure that we can continue to be a lot more innovative. So there's some huge benefits there, aren't there, Marie-Louise?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, this 2 days, the amount of time we have spent talking about AI and technology, wow, this is the generation that we can learn a lot from. So as probably most of us in this room, you know, some of us are quite attuned to this. Some of us are trying to learn and pick up and understand, how do I use technology to just optimize the way I do business, and what is AI all about, and how can I integrate this into my business? This generation is grown up with technology, and not only AI for that matter. That's a huge business advantage. Learn from them. You know, technology is our friend, and if we can learn to embrace that, we can go to them with reverse mentoring, and they can help us and teach us. This also helps us in a commercial sense, right? Because today I have a 12-year-old daughter, and she travels with me to a lot of hotels. Soon she will be an independent traveler, and she has already a lot of ideas and requests. You know, customers today, they expect a seamless, technical integration before, during, and after their stay, and that's just going to scale much more when new segments and the younger generation start to book their own, you know, and pay for their own travel without, you know, the parents' wallet. And that's the generations that is there now. So that's a huge advantage that we really should see, you know, the benefit of, and reach out to the Gen Zs to have them help us. Another thing is also that they're pushing our boundaries, and they make us a better workplace because they want to know the purpose of why they work. So they challenge us explaining why, right? Why am I here? Why is it that I need to do this thing? So it gives us an opportunity to scale up as leaders and link not only ourselves to the why, because that's important for us as well, but it gives us an opportunity to do the storytelling and make sure that we can link all our team members and the ones working for us to the why of work. They want to develop and grow. Who doesn't? All of us joined an organization with the aim to grow. They are the same, but they just want it slightly faster. And that gives us an opportunity to also question our decisions sometimes. Are we a little bit too slow? Can we think about our talent development in a faster way, and can we take some chances, right? The fact that they want that, we can also question why we say no, and we can try a different approach. And it gives us a better way to retain people and to grow people as well in a much faster way, which is so important in our industry, in our competitive landscape. And they're also challenging us to think differently about the integration between work and non-working life, which obviously technology is there to help all of us. All of us have different roles to fulfill, and they push us to think around how we can integrate work life in a better way, which will actually benefit us as well in the end.
So there's lots of opportunity, but I think the fact of the matter is that Gen Z is just an element of our workplace, and there is, you know, lots of generations. The magic is how we get everybody and all these dynamics to work together to make sure that we are all aligned.
Yeah, and we need to collaborate, and there's a lot of cases for collaboration across generations. It is in your workplace, and all of us are solving complex problems. Right? And if we can understand the value of collaborating in an inclusive way across generations, nationalities, genders, whatever it might be that you are facing a challenge on, your end product will be so much better because you had more people sitting around the table talking about the challenges that you have, mitigating the risks that you have with when you implement it. In our industry, hospitality, yeah, whether people go to dine, whether they go to sleep, whether they go to some kind of entertainment activity, our customers are diverse. So if we are not amplifying the same level of diversity as they constitute, we are really missing the point of understanding them. So the customers are younger and younger today, and we need to make sure that we bring in younger and younger people on our teams to meet the needs of those customers and sell their ideas to us so we can understand what it is that the new customer segments are really wanting and looking for and driving. We need to stay humble for the fact that we don't know everything. And if we then can amplify again the collaboration by saying, okay, I don't know, I might have 40 years of experience, but we will not know everything that is going on in the world, and the new generations can help you. But we need to role model the fact that you need to welcome them and include them by acknowledging that I will know more if I work together with you. And everybody wants to make a good impact. That is a key for collaboration. Everybody wants to have a positive impact and have good intention. The challenge, though, is that everybody comes from a different generation with different experiences and different history in their luggage. But that's the case for collaboration across generations. And you will realize when you do that there's a lot of similarities between those generations.
100% there is. So if we think about this unique opportunity, and who in this room has cracked this puzzle? Who in your workplace has got everybody working in sync and optimized?
Yeah, a few.
Oh,
wow.
I want to talk to you later and figure out what you're doing, because this, the world is shifting at such a rapid rate. I was listening to some thought leadership from Josh Bersin just the other day, and Josh goes to say that we're not in a transformational time, we're actually in a revolutionary time, and probably one of the most exciting times in business today. So we talk a lot about Gen Z because it's a really emergent pipeline of talent that's coming through, but let's not forget that we have other generations, the X's and the millennials, everybody else that's in the same workplace together. So the challenge for us is really looking at ways that we can, make sure we're optimizing, getting people to lean into key strengths, whilst also using these really unique talents that each of these different generations might have. I, as you can tell, like reading and filling my mind, and I was listening to a futurist recently. That futurist was talking about the key traits towards 2030 that we need from a leadership and an organisational perspective. So, think to yourself, what might that be? The key thing that's going to set, great organisations apart from good ones and exceptional leaders apart from average ones is the ability to unlearn and relearn. This constant cycle of being curious and asking questions, and this does not matter which one of these, generational buckets you fall into. It's a lot about the mindset, and it's a lot about, do you want to collaborate? Do you want to work together? So the ability to unlearn and question yourself. So if you're a commercial leader in this room that's been doing things the same way for the last 10 years, and if you expect those same traits and leadership style to be successful for you leading into the future, then I think you've got a big surprise coming just around the corner, because everything is changing around us. Some organisations are doing a lot of proactive things, and I see it basically from two different angles. There's the organisational lens. So what is your organisation doing to make sure that people are aware that, hey, we have a dynamic workforce, and we know if we optimise that workforce, our guests, they feel it. They absolutely feel it. So there's a business reason to make sure that we're doing it. So we need to create awareness. I think Liz Perkins said earlier, she went into a room of 20 people and the leader at the front of the room didn't ask anybody. I mean, that is a missed opportunity, a total missed opportunity. So there's the organisational stance. What are you doing to develop, build awareness? Then there's each and every one of you in this room. And you have a choice. You have a choice to embrace this intergenerational opportunity, because we don't want to call it a challenge anymore. Or you can put your head in the stand and keep doing things the way that you've always been doing them and just hope for the best. I'll finish before I pass to Marie-Louise to close by saying, when we talk about AI, because a lot of people this afternoon have talked about AI, it is not AI that's going to replace the jobs. in our industry. It's the people that fail to embrace AI that will.
Yeah, that is so true, Debbie. And to close off, it's a lot of information. And again, we live in a complex world, a lot of stakeholders to bear in mind, a lot of activities and actions that we need to do, and a lot of complexity. But you're living in that already today. So think about it in a way where you're not adding complexity with generational differences, because you already work in a diverse environment. You already work with different generations. You work with different nationalities, right? You work with people with different kind of experiences, and you're doing that successfully already today. So don't add a complexity lens of the fact that we are different generationally. A lot of the differences is because we have different traits. A lot of the things that you prescribe to Gen Z today, you can prescribe it to a baby boomer or a Gen X as well, because it's more about personality traits. So, de-learn to relearn. That's the point.
And we'll leave you with one question, and that is, are you ready? Voila.
I think they are.
The duo is over. Thank you, everybody.